son of a gun got the toughness in him.
I see it on the screen.
I mean, he would say, all right, baby, here I am, man. You know, and he'll do it.
Yeah.
Now, James Coburn is a peace-loving man.
I met him.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
you've met him. I mean, he's really, really nice. I mean, super mellow and all that. I mean, you know, I mean, now he appreciates the philosophical part of it. Therefore, his understanding of it is deeper than Steve. So it's really hard to say. You see what I'm saying now?
I see.
I mean, it's different. So that's, I mean, depending on what you see in it.
Interesting that we don't, in our world, and haven't since the days of the Greeks who did, combine philosophy and art with sport. But quite clearly, the Oriental attitudes of the three are facets of the same things.
Man, listen, you see, really, to me, okay, to me, ultimately, martial art means honestly expressing yourself. Go to me. When you want to move, you're moving. And when you move, you are determined to move. Not taking 1 inch, not anything less than that. If I want to punch, I'm going to do it, man, and I'm going to do it, you see. So, I mean, so that is the type of thing you have to train yourself into it, to become one with the, you think?
Yeah, this is very un-Western, this attitude. I want to ask you about your movie and TV career, but first we'll take a break. Then I'll be back with Bruce Lee. I've been talking to Bruce Lee mainly about the Chinese martial arts, which include things like Chinese boxing, karate, and judo, which is what he taught when he was in Hollywood. After he left the University of Washington, where he studied, of all things, philosophy, if you can believe that. He did, but that perhaps you understand why the two go together from the first half of this program. And you can perhaps understand how he got into films. He knew a lot of actors, but I'm told that you got the job on the Green Hornet, where you played Cato the chauffeur, mainly because you're the only Chinese-looking guy who could pronounce the name of the leading character, Britt Reed.
I meant that as a joke, of course. And it's a heck of a name, man. I mean, every time I said it, at that time, I was super conscious. I mean, really, that's another interesting thing, huh? Let's say if you learn to speak Chinese.
Yeah.
And it's not difficult to learn and speak the word. The hard thing, the difficult thing, it's behind what is the meaning, what brought on the expression and feelings behind those words. Like when I first arrived in the United States, and I look at a Caucasian, and I really would not know whether he was putting me on, or is he really angry, because we have different way of reacting.
Of course.
See, those are the difficult things.
It's almost as if you came upon a strange race where a smile didn't mean what it does to us. In fact, a smile doesn't always mean the same, does it?
Of course not.
Yeah, it's not. Tell me about the big break when you played in Longstreet. I must tell the audience that Bruce Lee had a bit part or a supporting role in the Longstreet series, and this had an enormous effect on the audience. What was it?
Well, you see, the title of that particular episode of Longstreet is called The Way of the Intercepting Fist. Now, I think the successful ingredient in it was because I was being Bruce Lee.
Yourself.
Myself, right. And did that part, just express myself, like I say, honestly express myself at that time. And because of that, I brought, favorable mentioning in, like, New York Times, which says, like, the Chinaman, who incidentally came off quite convincingly enough to earn himself a television series, and so on and so on and so forth.
Can you remember the lines by Sterling Sullivan, to the key lines?
He's one of my students, you know that.
Was he too?
Yes.
Everybody is. But you read, there were some lines there express your talking to Longstreet, played by James Francesca?
I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow, or it can crash. Be water, my friend. Like that.
Oh, I see. I get the idea. I get the power behind it. So, now, two things have happened. First, there's a pretty good chance that you'll get a TV series in the States called The Warriors, in which you use what? The martial arts in a Western setting?
That was the original idea. Now,
Yeah.
Paramount, I did Longstreet for Paramount, and Paramount wants me to be in a television series. On the other hand, Warner Brother wants me to be in another one, but both of them, I think, they want me to be in a modernized type of it, and they think that Western idea is out.
But
Whereas
you want to
you see, I mean, how else can you justify all these punching and kicking and violence except in the period of the West? I mean, in nowadays, I mean, you don't go around on the street kicking people or punching people, because if you do, that's it. I mean, I don't care how good you are,
But this is true also of the Chinese dramas, which are mainly costume dramas. And they're all full of blood and gore over here.
Oh, you mean here?
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, you see, I hope that the picture I am in would either explain why the violence was done, whether right or wrong or whatnot. But unfortunately, pictures, most of them here, are done mainly just for the sake of violence. You know what I mean? Like, fighting for 30 minutes, get stabbed 50 times.
But I'm fascinated. Let me give you your microphone back. I'm fascinated that you came back.
I am a martial artist.
You came back to Hong Kong on the verge of success in Hollywood and full of it, and suddenly, on the strength of one picture, you become a superstar. Everybody knows you. You have to change your phone number. You get mobbed in the streets. Now, what are you going to do? Are you going to be able to live in both worlds? Are you going to be a superstar here, or one in the States, or both?
Well, let me say this. First of all, the word superstar really turned me off, and I'll tell you why. Because the word star, man, is an illusion. It's something what the public calls you. You should look upon oneself as an actor, man. I mean, you would be very pleased if somebody say, "Hey, man, you are a super actor." It is much better than, superstar.
Yeah,
Therefore,
you've got to admit that you are a superstar. You're not going to, if you're going to give me the truth.
I'm honestly saying this, okay? Yes, I have been very successful, okay? But I think the word star I do not look upon myself as a star. I really don't. I mean, believe me, man, when I say it. I mean, I'm not saying it because
What are you going to do? Let's get back to the question.
Okay.
Are you going to stay in Hong Kong and be famous? Are you going to go to the United States and be famous? Or are you going to try and eat your cake and have it too?
I am going to do both because, you see, I have already made up my mind that in the United States, I think something about the Oriental, the true Oriental should be shown.
Hollywood sure as heck hasn't.
You better believe it, man. I mean, it's always the pigtail and bouncing around, chop, with the eyes slant and all that. And I think that's very, very out of
Is it true that you were the first job you had was being cast as Charlie Chan's number one?
Yeah, number one son, yeah.
They never made a movie.
No. They were going to make it into like a new Chinese James Bond type of a thing. Now that, the old man Chan is dead, Charlie is dead, and his son is carrying on.
But they didn't do that.
Batman came along, you see, and then everything was started to be going into that, that kind of
which you were in. But
by the way, I did a really terrible job in that, I have to say.
Really? You didn't like yourself anymore? I didn't see it. Let me ask you, however, about the problems that you face as a Chinese hero in an American series. Have people come up in the industry and said, well, we don't know how the audience are going to take a non-American.